That's true.
And everyone wants to voice their opinion. All right. So we might as well get started. I'd like to welcome the founders of Andie.Work, Todd, Dan, and Baba. How are you guys doing today?
Doing
Doing well.
great.
How are you?
Doing well. Happy
Yeah.
Friday.
Thanks for having us.
Happy Friday to you. And it's great to see you all again together. I think the last time I saw you all was probably at some sort of workhouse event. I can't remember when we were all able to get together.
Yeah,
Those were the
seems like
good
a long
times. Those
seems like a long time ago.
Yeah. And I was just talking to Ryan from Workhouse recently, and we've got some stuff planned. Start working with them and some more things lined up. So stay tuned for that. But tell me about Andie.Work.
Yes, absolutely. So from when you knew us, we were working on Andy as an assistant to help people sort of navigate through their business day to day. So the goal for then was to be that EA, that personal secretary that if you wanted to do tasks, you could just offload it to. Then came about the pandemic. And when the pandemic started happening, we had a corpus of our technology that we felt we could help, we used to help people. And that was this tool that could determine what the traffic was at a location. Because the goal was to originally have it for business people. If you wanted to pop into a place for a quick coffee, you needed to go in and out, have a quick coffee meeting, and be on your way. So we took that tool and we turned it into a wait time solution just to track what was happening at the grocery stores in the early days of the COVID and at the beer store at the LCBO. And in soon time, people started coming to the service, using it to navigate their days, which was really humbling for us because it was sort of one of those quick pivots, sort of on the fly, saying, "Hey, you know, we could do this. Let's try it, use it personally first." And then once people started using it, we realized there was a missing that we could help solve. And that missing was as much technology as we have nowadays, it's still hard for you to know what's happening anywhere. So if you wanted to go to a grocery store and you wanted to know if you could pop in and out and be done in 10 minutes, there is no way for you to know that. If you wanted to go to your doctor's appointment and you wanted to know if the waiting room is packed or not right now, or if you know you're going to have a delay, there's no way to accurately know that. So we decided to shift our focus to say we could help people navigate their day to day by telling them what is happening at a specific location at that moment in time so that they can then choose where to go, when to go, how to spend their time as effectively as possible.
So where are you focused right now on a specific geographic area all over the place?
So we are focused primarily in Canada and the US. So originally we started in Canada and then we expanded to the US at the beginning of the fall. So anyone in the US or Canada right now can get wait times from close to 3 million locations
Oh,
in real
fantastic.
time. So they could do that on our platform. But when it comes to what we're working on right now, we're starting to build relationships with small businesses. So for example, you know, we just started a new campaign working with essential medical businesses, so dentists, optometrists, other sort of chiropractors, physiotherapists, because those are the businesses that are open right now. And what we're doing within that sort of partnership is we give them what we call place activity management tools. So everything to manage your contact tracing, to manage your check-ins. And in return, it gives us a good perspective of having an understanding of what's happening at their location in real time in terms of what's coming in, so that then we can use that information to advise their other customers that, hey, Craig's Dental is filled right now. Maybe you want to check back tomorrow or you want to go in next week when there's going to be 5 less people in line. So that's where the focus is right now. It's working with those smaller businesses. But then in terms of the geographical location for our wait times, it's both in US and Canada.
Now, that's amazing because I know at the beginning last year, when the lockdown started, a lot of people decided, "Hey, I'm going to move, go to cottage country or whatever early." And my sister lives out near Gravenhurst, and there's some people I know in Aurelia, and all of a sudden, their town just 10 times the size in months they didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And there was 3 hour plus lineup for the grocery store, for the beer store, and they didn't know what to do. So this is fantastic tool. So who's going to tell me about the leadership team? I'm looking at them here, but tell me about your backgrounds.
Yeah, I can gladly introduce you to the gentleman on the screen. So firstly, we have Bubba, of course, who is our CEO, and he Bubba is basically an encyclopedia of technology development insight. So it's great because whenever we come to Bubba with a technology challenge, we watch the wheels turn in his mind, and then he takes that back to the team and finds and creates, more often than not, a solution. So that's his role. He really is the keeper of all things technology when it comes to the Andie brand. And then we, of course, have Mr. Todd Grierson, who is our strategic business advisor. And Todd comes from a very seasoned career of building and growing businesses from a team structure, from infrastructure, from a revenue point of view. So his role has really been to look at the business and say, okay, where do we want to take this and how are we going to get there? And it's everything from target identification to pricing and all of those wonderful things. Todd has also found himself in the role of government relations advocate, which has been really enjoyable for him. So he's been liaisoning with both municipal governments in Toronto, Ontario, provincial government, and a little bit of federal to try and get some support from Canada and Ontario, specifically behind Andie. And I'm Dan, I'm our Chief Marketing Officer. So my role was to really help define what our messaging is, what is the problem that we're here to solve, and how is it that we're delivering that to Canadians. And we've had the opportunity to do some light social campaigns and some public relation campaigns. So it's been a really fun journey pushing Andie out into the world.
Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, Craig, you're on mute.
The line of 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, sorry, I do that because the noise. Anyway, I like to, it's always curious to understand entrepreneurs are a different breed. It's not for everyone. So I like to talk about, what you were like growing up, and we might as well start with you, Todd. Were you a handful for your parents? Were you studious? Were you music, into sport, socializing, walking around with a briefcase or throwing rocks at cars? What were you doing?
Well, for a long time, I was studious. I was your typical kid, like school, studious. I was a big figure skater when I was young. So I was into the competition aspect of it. But then, yeah, I probably had my moments of probably not being the best kid in the world and not having to go the normal way, always trying to push the limits on things. So a little bit of a rebel that way. I remember a story. My mom always worried about me, but my grandfather would always tell her, don't worry, he'll straighten out eventually. Like it'll happen, but you just have to be patient. So I think that actually did end up happening, but that was me in a nutshell as a kid.
Baba?
And I will say from knowing Todd over the last 5 years, it did straighten out eventually very well. So that I can confirm. In terms of myself, for me growing up, I was always very interested in three things, which were sports, technology, and for some weird reason, which I still cannot understand, politics. So those are my sort of passions growing up. If you talk to someone who went to high school with me, you would find me at the gym at 7 a.m. in the morning for track practice or for, soccer practice after school. And then in between those hours, you'd find me in the computer science lab, just sort of, at the time, one of my favorite things was putting a Mario game on a floppy disk and being able to actually load it and play it. And I still tell those stories nowadays when my little cousins tell me, oh, my Nintendo Switch has 128 GB of space. I'm like, well, I once played Mario Kart on just 54 KB. So just not try to brag there. But then pretty much over the years, kept on with technology, always engaging because it teaches you something new every day. It's, whether it's talking to, Todd and Dan during our brainstorming sessions, or even every now and then when I'm talking with our engineering team, technology has this way of just bringing out creativity in people. And that's always been something that, it's been a lifelong passion. I always consider myself fortunate to be able to work in a space that I was passionate about as a kid, and to be able to, really get excited and get out of bed every day. And then the other thing is life's also good right now because Toronto sports has had lots of good years in the past. The Raptors won a championship. For me, that was one of probably the most fun nights, being downtown Toronto and watching the Raptors win a championship. So it's been fun, and it's fun to work with Dan and Todd every day.
I was waiting for that Raptors plug. Good one.
Yeah, he was.
Well, right now they're about they're not doing as well. So I had to like, I didn't want to lead with that. I had to like, warm up first.
Yeah, I don't remember a time not seeing you and Akshay at Workhouse talking Raptors.
That's true. That's true.
How about you, Dan?
Oh, I'm just a small town boy who found his way to Toronto after just like running for the hills after small town life got to me. I grew up in Kincardine, Ontario, like a beautiful little town on Lake Huron. And I was a very studious kid. I was very diligent. I didn't really cause trouble because I always got caught every time I did. Like, I don't know if my parents could like smell it on me, but every time I tried to sneak out and go to a party, they always found out. So I figure skated as well back in the day. I was involved in like student council and all of those wonderful things. I was like one of 3 gay kids in my high school, which served the entire region. So I was always a bit of an oddball. And then at 18, I moved to Toronto and I started working in advertising, and I never looked back. So that's really kind of me in a nutshell, from the shores of Bruce County to the tech world of Toronto.
So how did this team come together? Did it come together before and then the idea came naturally, or did one of you have the idea and bring the team together? How did that work?
So this is good. So I used to be a member of BNI. Bubba came to a meeting, and then a member of BNI had a social event. I met Bubba and a guy I was working with called Nitesh. So we're at a bar. I've had a few beers, and I just started firing the questions at him. I'm asking him, what's going on? How you doing this? I'm just like diarrhea them out, just throwing things at them. We shared a cab to go to the subway. And as we left and go roaming in the subway, the last thing I remember saying is, you need an advisor, you need a mentor to help you. And that was it. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, he contacted me and said, hey, I'd like you to be our advisor, come on board and help us. So we started rolling from there. And then as we got to a point where, okay, we need some social, some marketing, we need some guidance that way. We recognize there's a gap there. And then we approached Dan, and Dan came on board probably about a year ago. Dan, I think about a year ago, a little over a year ago.
Yeah, I think so. It all started with that naming conventions workshop that we had together, and it has just rolled ever since. So yeah, that was maybe even a year and a half ago. It's been a minute, to say the least.
Yeah. So it was, and that was back when it was an executive assistant, and then it started to grow from there. And that's how we kind of got together.
Well, it sounds like you all were doing different things. You had full-time gigs, you got other stuff on the go, social life, sports, whatever. And then this idea comes along. So opportunity cost is infinite. You could be doing all these other things, like having a life on top of having all these jobs together. Why this opportunity? Why this company?
Well, for me, when I met Bubba, I come from a manufacturing background, poultry, which is, you can't get any farther away from tech. So he starts talking to me about all this tech stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't get it, but I like it. Like, I like the concept. So the more I started to work with him on, the original goal for Andie with the executive assistant, I said, I really liked it. I saw a fit. I liked him, his energy, and what he wanted to do. So, there are a lot of other things maybe I could have been doing, but I said, no, I'm going to dedicate a portion of my time away from my consulting to helping and working with him and being part of the team. So I just looked at it and I saw an opportunity, and that's how it worked for me. Dan, you came on. Oh,
well, Todd approached me, as he was saying, we were in the same BNI group, and I have a firm belief that everything that Todd touches turns to gold. So as soon as he was like, do you want to be a part of this? I was like, where do I show up? And then, of course, I'd met Bubba briefly before. And once I started hearing him speak about the technology behind this, it was like, that was what was the positive nail in the coffin for me. Is I was like, okay, we have someone who knows exactly what they're doing and how to get it done. So we can make it happen. And then once the pivot happened in March, when COVID dropped, I have a marketing and business consultancy firm, and March and April, just like the world shut down and I had no real work, and it was an emotional journey for all of us. And so for me, working on Andie and creating a free tool that was helping people to buy groceries, that was helping them to go to pharmacies, like it gave me meaning and purpose while everything was in disarray. And I'll never forget, like right after we did our first PR drop, I was literally like crying in my kitchen that day And then I received this email saying, CBC wants to talk to you about the Andie app and get the world, share it with the world. And that for me was, it just gave me the energy to continue when it was really hard to in the beginning of COVID.
And so Dan brings up what happened in March. So we talked about it a little bit. We were ready to launch Andie, our executive assistant, at the Collision conference last June. We had a booth book. We were ready to go. And then COVID hit. And there was a party about a week where we all kind of sat like this at the screen going, now what do we do? Like the Collision's it's canceled. How do we pivot? What do we do? And then it was that moment where we started to talk about what we could build. And then once we came to that conclusion of we're going to build a wait time app, that's what validated it for me that, oh yeah, this is working, because we were able to shift within 4 to 6 weeks. And within 8 weeks, we had a product that's when it really validated for me that, yeah, okay, this works. We're nimble, we're aggressive, we're fighters, and doesn't matter what's happening. We're going to take it. We're going to turn it into something that's going to be useful. So
and we started by solving a problem that we all had, which was, I don't know where I'm going to get groceries. And so we realized that if the three of us are all having this problem and we're fairly geographically spread out, then many, many other people are as well. And that's really where the concept was born out of.
Now, Bobby, you used to pitch at our startup drinks every once in a while. And I can tell that, your mission has pivoted significantly. Can you, or one of you, tell us about, the unmet need you're solving? It sounds like the lineup stuff is pretty good, but what's the business side of it?
So the business side of it, and you're right that it's been that pivot. Well, part of what attracted us to the pivot was that originally, like Todd and Dan said, when we built the product, we just built it as a personal tool for each of us to use. But as we started using it, we realized it fit into the ethos of what we originally were doing, which was to help people to be able to figure out how to navigate their daily lives within the scope of the original assistant. So with this, the core business mission now is that whenever you want to go anywhere, we want to place information in your hands in real time to be able to know where to go. So whether it's the dentist office, whether it's your grocery store, whether it's just going to the pharmacy, anywhere you go throughout the day, we want to be able to place information about what's happening there in your hands in real time. And that's now our mission. And we feel that it fits within what we wanted to do originally, which is help you navigate your day. It's more or less just now in a different sort of approach. Originally, helping you navigate your day would have encapsulated, having an assistant that maybe you chatted with. Now it's more or less having real-time data that you can use to sort of choose where to go. And in terms of the business side of things, part of it for us is we have that user side where it's more about convenience for you in your daily life. It's helping you stay, especially now when COVID is still pretty much top of mind, it's helping you stay safe. And also it's helping you use your time wisely, because of all the things that we all have in life, the one thing that we can not control, at least at the moment, I'm sure someone's probably working on a time machine. And when they do, I'd hope to fast forward past the pandemic. But of all the things that we are not able to do right now, it's control time. And we feel if I could give you back 5 minutes of your day and you choose to use that 5 minutes how you choose, we feel we're adding value to your daily life. So that's the core of what the business is centered around. And with the businesses that we've actually been partnering with on the small business side, but then they see this service that gives their customers an idea of what's going on as a way to bridge the convenience gap, which is that, when you order something online, part of why you go is that it's convenient. You know what you're going to get. It's clear. There's that clarity of, what day your order is coming if you use Amazon Prime. So they feel that if they're able to reach that level where they turn information into a branding and convenience machinery, it helps them deliver their service, because there would be less of an incentive for their customer to go order online if they know, oh, I can just go by the 2 blocks away to get my service and I know how long it's going to take me. I'll just do this and then move on with my life. So that's where we sort of see the business heading now that we've made that major shift and pivot.
And just to add to that, to speak to the how to kind of reinforce through functionality how that's coming to fruition. So in addition to the wait time element that we've been discussing, we also recognize the need for businesses that have closed doors to deliver their product and service to people curbside. So what we heard from businesses was, it's great that people know how long the wait is. What if they can't come in at all? So we've created a free tool where you can upload your inventory, people can select what it is they want to purchase, and then they can select and schedule a pickup time for a curbside pickup at your small business. So we want to help small businesses continue to move product in a way that's minimizing exposure to customers. And then secondly, we've created a contact tracing service for those who can open their doors and invite people in, or for those who have large employee teams still coming in, or who have FedEx drivers, cleaners, delivery folk in and out of their business consistently. We've created a QR code scanning tool that allows you to scan in when you enter a business, and it allows you to do a one-touch alert if you test positive or are exposed to COVID-19. So we took the Wait Time app, we heard the challenges that businesses were having about then tracking the people who are coming in or fulfilling orders outside of their business externally, and develop these features in order to bring that convenience factor into the app itself.
So I see the one problem I see with what you're doing is that almost everyone is a potential client or customer, the user of your product. So when I say that's a problem is because if everyone's your customer, how do you market to them? So who is your ideal client that you're going after? And then we've got a question in the chat room a little bit about your promotional plans. We'll get to right after.
Yeah, I'm happy to start to speak to that and invite the gentleman to pop in afterwards. So our initially, and Scott, thank you for the question. Pertaining to, Scott hasn't yet heard of the platform, so how are we continuing to market and grow it moving forward? And so what we did was, when we created the Wait Time, we're a self-funded organization. So we took our funds and we went out into the world to get the free Wait Time portion, to get it some traction. So we did a PR push, we did social, we onboarded 3,400 users within the first month. So that was where we really invested in outward marketing to get the general populace on board, so that that's when the lineups are really occurring. But then what happens is, when you introduce a free tool, is that it does not continue to feed the revenue pipe. So our challenge, once we started introducing features pertaining to small business, is that we didn't necessarily have the dollars to continue to pump and amplify our content out into the world. So what we did was we pivoted our outreach strategy, firstly to go after a government relations push. So I'll give a plug to my cousin Wayne Snow, who is who's doing a lot of free work for us and reaching out to the government. He used to work for John Tory and is now in government relations. So we're talking to every minister across every platform that will speak with us, to get the government to integrate us into our programs. We're in Digital Main Street. We're having, Praveen Sakaria push out all of our content through their social. So we're doing a very pointed government push. We're also going to BIAs, chambers of commerce, these regional entities that have direct contact with business, so that they can then bring that message of the curbside and the contact tracing to business owners. And that way, again, it's really targeting those groups that are gonna find the most value out of the tool, without us necessarily having to fund a full marketing campaign in order to get in front of people.
Yeah, that's great. I think there's so much information there, and the things you can do. I looked recently in Burlington. I live in Burlington, and the city of Burlington has a page of all the businesses that are offering local type of stuff, because we all know, and most of us know, that Uber Eats and Skip the Dishes and whatever, they take too much money off the local businesses, and most of the businesses are actually losing money off every order, because they demand at least 30% from each of the restaurants and then whatnot. So, but your choice is, to be on the app and serving food or not, right? And be top of mind with the customer or not. But having an alternative like this is amazing. So make sure, you get on those city pages and talk to all those BNIs, because people are desperate for this service. That's amazing. Appreciate
And
that.
no, and what you said there, like that's part of the driving force for us. Because when we look at it right now, lots of the businesses that need our help are struggling businesses. And we've always felt that, in some ways, you have to be able to help them out in their, in this hour of need. Because obviously, if you don't help them out and they don't come through it, if you're looking to build a business long term, then you actually don't have customers to build a business too. And that's why within every service that we have, there's always something that we say, hey, you can start with this for free. Everything is simple to set up. So think about the fact that if you wanted to do contact tracing at your store and you wanted to do curbside pickup, everything works from one QR code, which it's simpler for you to manage. And the thing is, it's free if you're not using it excessively. So for us, for example, for our contact tracing application, it's free if you're getting less than 100 visitors a day, because we consider it to be a low traffic place and we know you can use the app. Similarly with our curbside ordering service, it's free for you to sort of get started. And we know that to help you out, there's no payment processing involved if you don't want it. If you want the payment processing option, you have that option of adding it on. But then if you want to save money and you say, hey, look, I already have a POS set up, I don't want you to take another $5 on my order. We say, hey, fine. Here's the tool. Let people order. When they come in, please make sure that there's a way they can safely tap and go. It's tap and go, and they pick up their order, they pay you. So our goal right now, and that's one of the things that's driving us. The only thing is what you alluded to earlier, where it's like, there are lots of people who can use our service. So what we've been doing is, in order to be able to market to them, we've been using those channels, like Dan said, to really make sure that we're not marketing to everybody at the same time. We're kind of going at it from a very consistent angle. And part of that is, sort of starting local with both the province and then the municipal authorities we've been talking to.
And it's a challenge. Like when you start saying, as soon as you say to somebody, I've had this, what do you mean it's free? Yeah, what's the catch? I'm like, okay, there's no catch. Like it's free. There's no extra fees. There's no hidden fees. There's no catch. But you try to tell somebody that, and I get pushback. Well, nothing's free. I'm telling you, tell them what's free. There's nothing hidden. So it's really even hard when you have a product that businesses can use, it could help them open and sell products. But some of them are like, yeah, what do you mean it's free? So that's also a challenge sometimes, because they're like, what do you mean by that? But yeah, they're all free, no hidden fees. And yeah, interesting.
Yeah, you definitely got to go at it with hey, your reason why it's free is we're targeting businesses mostly at 100 or more people that are flowing through your business. And if you're not getting that, great. That means you're a low user, but we like to have more businesses. We want you to help, and maybe we'll make some money off you, transaction fee if you want to do that or something at some point. But the more businesses we have on, the more customers we'll find on our app. So, because it's a win-win. If you're on here, the reason it's free is because we want our customers to have as many businesses when they load up our app so they can get out there and see. Don't you want to be on that? Don't you want to be safe? Don't you? Yeah. So I understand there's some hurdles over those things, but I think you've got some good arguments to those.
Absolutely.
I like to talk about both successes and failures, so that there's a chance that maybe someone watching this or in now or in the future won't make the same mistake. Can you tell me of a time where you screwed up making a startup decision or pivot, and what happened?
So one of the key ones that still makes me laugh till this day was launching the mobile app. So what happened was, with that mobile app, you go on anyone who's ever launched one, anyone who's looking to launch an app, you're going to go on Android, you're going to go on iOS. They tell you what I call the boilerplate stuff. It's going to take a few days, but then underneath all of that boilerplate information is the fact that every app upload differs. So when we read the boilerplate information, we forecasted on that, saying, oh, you know what? It's going to take 5 days. Great. If we expect to have an app out in 5 days, that means we can start having promotional content about it right away. It's like telling people, oh, you know what? They said it's 5 days. It's coming in 5 days, which was, in looking back and learning from that lesson, not the best strategy. So we did that, and then we ran into this process and back and forth with Apple that 5 days magically became 4 weeks. So we had people who were and the problem was that by that time our Android version was already pushed. So almost every day we would get an email or a message from someone saying, I can see you guys are talking about the Android, but when is the iOS coming? And it was, trust me, I just got off the phone again with Apple. I promise you it's coming soon.
It's
So
terrible.
the main lesson for that, which and it's when you're building a startup, I understand that you want things to go quickly. Part of why startups succeed in relation to established businesses is the fact that speed is a good habit to have. So when you get a task or you get a challenge, you say, you know what, we're gonna try and do this in a week. But then what you always want to try and do, which is a hard lesson for anyone to learn, to be honest, and even for me personally, it took a time to learn this. Is you always want to create buffers, and I call them, you buffer for the unexpected, because trust me, something unexpected would always happen, and the more buffers you could put in, the better. For us, we were lucky in the sense that people were excited to have our product, so that didn't really hurt us in the long run. But then it also created this sort of, we had to manage it well in terms of customer service, reaching out to customers and being open with them, saying, hey, we're working through this. This is the problem. That if you ask me, it's, and on the other side, the headache we had to deal with in terms of talking to Apple, that the lesson was, if you're pushing something, give it as much buffer as possible. And I'll tell you, even then, it's going to be, you got to keep learning that. It's like, don't launch unless you have it in hand. It's something Dan always says, like, hey, unless you have it in hand, don't say we're launching yet. It's, you have it in hand and then you launch from there. So that's a key lesson that I would say on the not so successful side. In terms of the successes, it's everything we sort of talked about, is being able to, the best success, or the best thing I'll say is key, is having the right people in place. Because I think opportunity and ideas are sort of serendipitous in nature, where you might get an idea, you might get some information that kind of changes course. But then if you don't have the right people to execute it, if you don't have the right systems in place to execute, then it really doesn't matter. It's ideas are a dime a dozen, execution is everything. So on the successful side, it's put together people around you in your networks, network with as many people as possible. One of the things I loved about TorontoStarts was you always got to meet, I always met someone new every time, when we could still do it in person and, have a few beers and socialize. So it comes from, build your network as much as possible, because someday you're going to get something that you might not be able to do yourself. And that's going to be critical for you to be able to do whatever you want to do if you get those opportunities.
I think that was great advice. I'm a project manager, project director by trade for many, many years. And, having that contingency in the Slack and being able to do stuff. But as a startup, everyone has the mindset of, my launch has to be great. So, my first 24 hours, 48 hours, I got to get everybody download. So yes, you're saying we're going to go live on the 5th, so we're going to do all our marketing. And I'll tell you a little story, and we'll get back to this quickly, is I had a person I interviewed for my accelerator program. They had just put their app in the app store. They're, ready to go live. So great. We started the program, it was 12 weeks. By the time they were done, they still hadn't got released. It was back and forth. So it was so many things. Yeah. Until it's ready, you can't count those eggs before they're hatched, or chickens before they're hatched, as this saying goes.
That's good. I see a question from Scott. Yes. So Scott, one of the things we're also working on right now, so we have a few of those in the works, which is we're working with service providers that we can partner with. So instead of that supplier fit, whereby they've already built relationships with some of the businesses we want to approach, and we feel that our products fit with them seamlessly. So those are the things we've been working on as well, in order to make sure we can get the tools that we have on our platform to the hands of businesses as quickly as possible. Because part of it, as Craig said earlier, was that everyone seems to fit a user, but the thing is, you can't market to the entire planet at once. You have to be strategic. So one of the things that we're working on right now is being able to build those partnerships and alliances that allow us to have people through which we can push on the marketing side to, promote the business. And in terms of coming back, we're working on a few things for this year as well to support PR campaigns. We are starting to put together a community where, we're bringing together some of the businesses that are hopping onto our products so that, we can have that information available that we could then use to increase the social awareness for the product, because we believe now that we've built some branding within the marketplace. The next phase of that social awareness has to come from us having our users, our business users share their testimonials. So that's something that we're building as a community as well to support our promotional efforts.
And what about getting online? And when I say getting online, there's a lot of networking groups. BNI, you mentioned before. I've worked with that specific group that you guys are talking about. There's I do pitch events and, pitch at TO, Tech TO. I mean, when you can get in front of a few hundred people in a night, it's sometimes doing that, worth doing that. I know, maybe pitching is not your crowd, but startups will download your app, especially if they're going to save time. And it's just a way of their early adopters, and they like to show everyone else, hey, look, the app I just downloaded. So think about that kind of stuff, because those people are word of mouth, and maybe not a good analogy in this day and age, but as Seth Godin called them, the sneezers that you're looking for to spread your word. Let's talk about, advice for startups. Do you have any tips for founders just starting out?
Wow. I would say the first thing is you always need to be able to have an introspective mindset to know when you need help. And I would say that was the foundation of what this company has become today, because at that point in time we were just brainstorming ideas, but we realized we needed someone who had the business knowledge that Todd could bring to the table to help us. So that introspection was the first way we understood ourselves. Then we went out and we sought that help. And the thing would be that seeking help would be my second advice in that regard, because you never know how much people are willing to help. The first time we spoke to Todd, it was sort of just a shot in the dark, and we said, hey, we could use your advice in this. Are you willing to? And he was open to it. So when there's something you're doing within your business, so maybe you need help with a business plan, go talk to someone who's made one before. Go talk to someone who's done it before, and then see if you have someone in your network who's going to help you put one together. If you're trying to build an app and you're not an engineer, find someone you can message, say, hey, you know what? I saw this LinkedIn post says you're an engineer. Do you mind if I just pick your brain for 10, 15 minutes? And especially nowadays when we're all locked in, you'd be surprised how many people can spare that kind of time, because think about it, like we're all doing the same thing every day. You wake up, you sit in front of Zoom meetings, you do all these things. So if someone were to come to you and say, hey, like, do you mind if I pick your brain for 5-10 minutes? That gives you a different outlet. That gives you something exciting for you to look for. So, wow, you know what? I've got that time. Why not? Let's go. So get that advice, get the right people. And the last thing would be, it's always a grind. You want to enjoy the moments, but then you also want to plan for the future. So it's like you have to know it's going to take a long time. Like I know a lot of time with the way media is, people, you might see a Mark Zuckerberg, or you might see an Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos and say, wow, like I could just start a business and then like I'll make a gazillion dollars the next day. But then the thing is, what we normally obscure from those stories of successes are the grind and the hard work it takes to do it. And then the fact that, that grind comes from you knowing it's going to be a grind and you being able to show up every day. You have to show up in the morning. You got to show up on like the days when you don't want to get out of bed. You have to show up when it's nice and sunny outside and you'd rather be on a patio having a few beers with people. Or maybe nowadays you just take your beers on the patio and you do some work at the same time.
Thanks for that. what's next for you guys and the app? Who are you going after next? What are the things that are happening? Is it more marketing strategies? Is there new features, or is it just diving deep on your customer base?
For me, I think we're going to continue to push and to, try and find and identify these organizations where we can create a strategic alliance. We're working right now with a national firm that both of our products marry up really well together. So we're going down that road of, how far can we take it? Because I think there's some partnership opportunities, and then it's identifying or continuing to identify those types of opportunities. And then as far as products go, well, we're coming out with something called Ticker. That's going to continue to add to. Oh, Bubba, you talk about Ticker. You'll explain it better than I will. The tech guy.
Yeah, so pretty much one of our new products is called Ticker, and Ticker is a virtual lineup service. So, as we're moving into the next evolution of lockdowns, we're not sure whether it's going to be red, yellow, blue, what the new colors are going to be. And the fact that it's getting colder, we're working with businesses starting next month to have a virtual line. So when customers come in, they don't have to actually wait outside and line up to get inside. It's sort of everyone has a number, and when it's their turn, they can approach the door and be able to access the facility or go into the store that way. So that's one of the new things right now. It's that Ticker service that's going to be dropping February 15th.
So if I'm a business,
yes,
and I want to get my information on there, do I just download the app? Do I go to our website? Do I call you? What do I do?
So if you're a business and you want to use our contact tracing and curbside solution, you go to www.Andie.Work, and you go through a sign up process that takes about a minute. You select the features that you want, and then voila, you're going to have access to the platform right away. You're going to get a QR code. You download that QR code. We have posters that you can sort of choose from, as well as just a simple one if you just want something nice and neat for your door. And what that allows you to do is, once you have the QR code set up, anytime someone comes in, they can just scan.
And so just to earn my paycheck this week, that's Andie.Work. Andie is spelled ANDIE.work. And that website will take you through walkthrough videos of all the functionality, the front end, the back end. So if this is something, again, it's a free solution. If this is something that might be useful to you, your business, or someone you know, all of the information is there and you can see the user interface, no problem. So that's Andie.Work.
Yeah, and where can people go as a consumer to get the app and find out more?
The exact same place. You can head to Andie.Work, and it has all of the functionality is housed in the same application. So you're downloading the same version, which is wonderful, and all the features are built in. If you'd like to go and directly download the app, you can simply go to the Google Play Store or the iTunes App Store and download the app directly onto your smartphone.
Thank you for taking the time today to let us know all about your app and give us some advice. I know we're running a little late because I've got another thing to go to, but I really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. This was fun.
This was fun.
Thanks everyone for the questions.